Detective Lightfin, Case 101, Poseidon's Trident.
The office door crashed open. Poseidon stood there, his eyes glowing with anger. He stormed into Lightfin's office. The water around him bubbled and swirled as if trying to get out of his way. Lightfin stayed behind his desk, watching the King of the Sea's face and waiting to see what would happen.
Lightfin? My trident is missing.
Lightfin cleared his throat. He had a sinking feeling in his stomach. Unusual, as sharks have very strong stomachs.
I said my trident is missing. I'm sure it's been stolen.
Hello, Your Majesty. Let me ask you, why do you believe your trident has been stolen?
Well, last night, before I went to bed, I left it in the large seashell next to my bed where I always leave it. This morning, it was gone.
I see. That is peculiar. Could one of your merpeople have taken it? For cleaning, perhaps?
Do not be a fool. No one takes my trident.
Very well. Is there anyone who might want it or want to cause problems for you?
Poseidon slumped down in a chair, which groaned under his weight. While he looked quite like an ordinary man, the King of the Sea probably weighed as much as a small whale.
Well, there are some people.
Lightfin immediately grabbed a pen and a fresh case file.
Hermes. He's always stealing something. He stole one of Artemis's arrows last week, and only a month before that he even stole Aphrodite's underpants. Now tell me what he's going to do with those. They aren't even his size. If I catch him, I will let the Kraken use him as a chew toy. Or Athena. Did you know the silly people from Athens chose her as their patron goddess over me? I am sure she's worried I would be seeking revenge if I had my trident, so she's probably stolen it to prevent me from doing just that.
After a slight pause, Poseidon stood up, his face showing concern.
Or Triton, my son. He was angry with me last night as I took away his shell. It's a magical shell which can be used to sound like a trumpet. He would just not stop blowing on it and making a racket. I could hardly hear the sea, it was so loud.
Well, there seems to be no shortage of suspects. Was there anything else out of place that you noticed this morning?
Well, now that you ask, I noticed a strange mark on the ground, like a footprint from a sandal. As we live below the ocean's surface, none of us wear sandals around the house. Also, some of the servants said they saw a snake-like creature in the sea garden last night, but the water was murky and they didn't get a good look, and it was nowhere to be seen this morning.
Not many clues to work with, then.
Poseidon raised himself up and towered over Lightfin. His glare was dark as he said through gritted teeth.
Lightfin, you simply have to find my trident. If my brother Zeus finds out about this, he will tease me about this forever. He will tease me about this forever. There is nothing I hate more than teasing from my own brother.
With that, he turned and stormed out of the office. Lightfin's gills fluttered as he breathed in. He normally didn't involve himself with the Greek god's affairs. His usual cases concern things like missing plankton or clownfish children swept up by a passing diving expedition. He did have some luck in that all the gods were visiting Atlantis this week, so he wouldn't have to swim up anyone's toilet bowl to speak to them. He took a long look at his notes. He decided to see Triton first. He had met Triton once, and as Poseidon's son, he maybe would have some additional information. Lightfin floated out from behind the desk and picked up his hat and coat. It felt like rain outside, not that it made a difference living under the sea. As he approached the Golden Palace, he heard a trumpet-like noise coming from the far side of the sea garden. He followed the racket until he came upon Triton floating in the middle of a large forest of Amazon water lilies, which made up the heart of the garden. Unlike Poseidon, Triton had the tail of a fish where his legs should be. He floated effortlessly as he blew on what appeared to be a large shell. The sound coming from the shell was anything but gentle. It rang through the water like the barking of angry sea lions and gave Lightfin a headache. He could see why it annoyed Poseidon. Triton looked up and saw Lightfin approaching. They had met a few times before, so Triton was not surprised to see the large shark detective swimming towards him.
Good day, Triton.
Hello, Detective Lightfin.
Interesting tune you were playing there.
A wide grin split Triton's bearded face at what he took as a compliment.
Are you here about my father's trident, Detective?
Well, yes.
It's all anyone in the house talked about this morning. He's in a rather difficult mood since he discovered it was missing.
Yes, well, that's why I needed to talk to you. Do you know anything about how the trident went missing?
You mean, did I take it?
Triton paused, appearing for a moment to be growing annoyed. The water became still. Fish silently moved away from the younger sea prince. Lightfin watched Triton closely, his heart still. Sometimes being cold-blooded had its advantages. He waited to see what would happen. Suddenly, Triton let out a booming laugh.
No, Detective. I did not take my father's trident.
Did you happen to see or hear anything last night which was out of the ordinary?
No, not really. I partied with some of the younger gods. They can confirm I was there until the early hours of the morning.
One more question. How did you get your conch shell back? I thought your father took it away last night.
Well... Oh, okay. Last night, when I came home, I snuck into my father's room and took it from the spot above the bed where he left it. But I swear when I left the room, the trident was still there. You have to believe that.
And you didn't see anyone else around at that time?
No, I went straight to bed.
Who else was at this party you were at?
Aphrodite, Hermes, Apollo, you know, all the cool kids.
Okay, thank you. I have what I need for now.
Lightfin turned on his tail and left the young prince in the garden playing his music. He decided to head off to Atlantis for an audience with Athena and Hermes before they headed back to the surface. Lightfin was always amazed at the city of Atlantis with its towering palaces made from the brightest coral. It was a remarkable place where mere people, gods, and fish mingled together. When he arrived at the palace where Hermes was staying, he was told he had gone for a walk and could be found in a nearby plaza. Following directions given by the merman, he quickly found Hermes entertaining a school of young dolphins with some magic tricks. Hermes wore a white robe reaching to his ankles just above his golden winged sandals. Nearby on the ground lay his famous scepter, adorned with twin entwined snakes. A golden coin danced across his fingers, and then, as it reached the last finger on his hand, it disappeared and reappeared in his other hand some distance away. The dolphins were amazed. When his eyes caught sight of the shark, the coin suddenly disappeared. Aww! The school of dolphins moved on to the other side of the plaza.
Detective Lightfin, I presume?
Yes, Hermes, correct?
Indeed I am. What can I do for you? If you're here about the matter of Poseidon's trident, I can assure you I had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all.
Why do you think I would want to see you about that?
Well, I heard it was missing, and nowadays, whenever anything goes missing, people almost always come looking for me. I played one practical joke, and suddenly I'm the first suspect on everyone's mind.
Practical joke? Oh, you mean like the time you stole...
Borrowed.
Correction, borrowed Artemis' arrow.
I had forgotten about that. I was referring to me borrowing Apollo's cattle. I gave them right back.
Hermes winked at Lightfin and flashed a smile.
What else have you heard about the Trident? And where were you last night?
Oh, this is so boring. Okay, let's get this over with. I was at this party. It was ever so dull. Young Triton was there, going on about how his father had taken his shell. He was very upset with his father. So, anyway, the party got super boring, and before anyone started to leave, I went back to my palace and off to bed.
You didn't go anywhere near Poseidon's palace at any stage last night.
I don't even know where the palace is. I haven't ever been there. I believe it's quite dreary, and the gardens are ever so boring with nothing particularly special about that Amazon water lily forest. Why would I want to go there?
Interesting. Can you think of anyone else who might want to cause Poseidon problems by borrowing his trident?
Oh, you need to speak to Athena. She really has a thing for Poseidon. I bet she might tell you.
I understand they have a bit of a rivalry.
A bit? A bit? That is like saying the Greeks and the Trojans had a misunderstanding. Anyway, I must be off. Lightfin, I'm afraid you're becoming boring.
With that, Hermes turned away, picked up his scepter, and was quickly gone. He moved exceptionally fast for someone who had to run through the water and didn't swim like most fish or mer people. Lightfin went over to another large palace in the heart of Atlantis. It was a beautiful turquoise and seemed to pulse with a glowing light reflecting through the seawater. The merwoman at the entrance instructed Lightfin to wait in the lobby area until Athena chose to see him. As Lightfin floated around, he took in the variety of weapons, suits of armor, and shields on the walls. Athena was not only the goddess of wisdom, but also of strategy. She was believed to have helped many great generals and heroes in their time of need.
Can I help you, Detective?
Lightfin turned and saw Athena in front of him. She wore a beautiful long robe reaching all the way down to her bare feet.
Your Highness. Yes, I was wondering if you had heard that Poseidon's trident is missing.
Actually, I had not. Has the fool misplaced it?
Lightfin winced at Athena calling Poseidon a fool. He knew he had to tread carefully here, as one false move could result in one of the gods becoming offended, and him being turned into fish and chips.
It appears it was stolen. I am trying to help him with its recovery, and I was wondering if you knew anything about it.
I see. So, Poseidon suspects me of taking it?
Yes. Unfortunately, I understand there was a rivalry between you two, and he feels you might still bear a grudge.
Why would I bear a grudge? Maybe he has forgotten. But I won. The people of Athens chose me as their patron goddess. I gave them the olive tree. And that fool Poseidon gave them a spring of salt water that they couldn't drink or use for their crops.
Yes, I heard the story. Can you think of any other reason why someone might want to steal his trident?
Possibly a weapons collector? The trident is rare and powerful. It would be a valuable treasure for anyone to have. Hermes and Apollo have been known to collect such weapons. Or perhaps look at one of Poseidon's children, as only they could use all the trident's powers.
You seem to have an impressive collection of weapons yourself.
Indeed, but I have no need for the trident. I have a number of more powerful weapons and suits of armor.
Athena lifted a large shield engraved with a pattern of snakes.
This shield is Aegis. It is one of the most powerful artifacts in all of the land. He who holds it could lend almost any army to victory. It's probably one of my favorites.
If you don't mind me asking, what were you doing last night?
I actually had to help one of the heroes who called me. Jason was in a terrible mess, so I spent most of the night helping him and his Argonauts.
That will be difficult to confirm, I suppose.
I'm sure someone has probably carved a mural about it into a vase or something. Can I help you with anything else, Detective? Or can I go back to sleep now?
Lightfin left the magnificent palace and began to make his way to Poseidon's residence. He felt sure he had solved the mystery. He sent a message ahead and asked Poseidon to invite Athena, Hermes, and Triton to the palace that afternoon so he could identify the culprit. And you? Can you guess who took the trident? We will give you 15 seconds to make your best guess. Well, did you figure it out? They were gathered in the massive hall of Poseidon's palace. Glowing jellyfish floated overhead, providing an eerie light in the water.
Lightfin, have you found my trident? Please say you have it.
I don't have it yet, Your Highness, but I do know who has it.
Well, up with it. Who took my trident?
Well, I interviewed Athena, Hermes, and Triton, and I am certain who the culprit is. While Triton was indeed very angry with you yesterday and did sneak into your room last night to retrieve his shell, he could not be the culprit, as he does not wear sandals or have any snake-like possessions. It's true that you see Athena as a great rival, and you thought she may have stolen the trident to spite you. But she bears no grudge and has very little motive for stealing the trident. While she does own a shield with snakes for an emblem, she doesn't normally wear sandals while under the sea. Therefore, the culprit is you, Hermes. You always wear your golden sandals and carry your snake-like staff. You also said that you had never been to Poseidon's palace, but yet you knew which lilies grow in the garden. I suggest you followed young Triton home, and when he came out of his father's room, you slipped in and stole the trident.
All right. I didn't really steal it, though. I just borrowed it for a while. Apollo wanted to see it and he dared me that I could not get it.
Hermes clicked his fingers and the trident suddenly appeared in front of Poseidon. Poseidon reached out and pulled it out of the water. He turned to Hermes and said,
As you have returned the trident, I am giving you a 30-second head start to get out of my kingdom before I summon the Kraken.
With that, Hermes disappeared in a puff of steam.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lightfin Case Files. If you want to send us any drawings or photos of sea animals, you can email them to mike@lightfincasefiles.com and I will make sure they get put on our Facebook or Instagram. You can also check out our website, lightfincasefiles.com, for more information. Please share the podcast with your friends. This podcast featured the remarkable voice talents of Scott Allen, Isabel Landivar, Ed Placentia, Erin B. Lillis, Russell Vanderpool, and Lorenzo Sabatini. Thanks to the community at hitrecord.org.